Alright, is the sound okay? Hi everyone, my name is Hundert. Welcome to my Virtua Fighter 5 primer video. This is gonna be a, I hope, pretty concise overview of all the system mechanics in the game. I'll walk you through like how movement works, how offense works, how defense works. Like everything to get you started in Ultimate Showdown. Which, as far as we're concerned right now, this is looking to be like a incomplete copy of like Final Showdown, which is the game I'm playing today. This is the game. We'll have a look at almost all of the characters. I feel like most of the stuff is system mechanics, so it doesn't really matter what character you play. I played Jeff and Wolf, so those are the two in training mode right now. Full disclaimer, I am terrible at this video game, but I love teaching people, and so here we are. We'll walk you through this game step by step. I hope this won't take more than like 45 minutes. If it does, we'll figure something out together. Sound is good? Fine, great. Alright, so let's start with movement. Movement is the most important thing in any 3D fighting game. If you come from Tekken, like I will require a little bit of knowledge about fighting games in general, not Tekken specifically, but a lot of people play Tekken and want to jump into this game, so I'm gonna make a lot of comparisons to and from Tekken in relation to Virtua Fighter. So if you are from Tekken, you know that movement is very non-committal in this game. You have like pretty low risk when moving, pretty high reward. Virtua Fighter is not that kind of game. It is a little bit more purposeful in like how you approach movement and how you move around the screen. So first up we have like, I guess, an 8-way walk, not really an 8-way run. It's pretty shit. You usually don't use that. You have forward dashes, back dashes, just like you have in Tekken. And then you have a crouch dash and also a crouch back dash, which is input with down forward twice or down back twice. In numpad notation that would be 3-3 or 1-1. So you don't need to do like the pseudo Shoryuken motion. You can just like tap down forward quickly twice. Let me quickly get this as a command display. So this is your forward crouch dash, this is your back crouch dash. In Tekken, you can actually block while you are backdashing. This is not the case in Virtua Fighter. Backdashes are very committal, and actually, you are in a counter hit state while you are backdashing. So, let me quickly set up the dummy here. Whoops. So this is just a jab followed by a backdash. Not quite. So this is very, very bad for you. You can, however, because Virtua Fighter is a little bit more offense oriented, you can cancel your forward dashes, your crouch dash and your regular dash, into a guard at any point, and this includes the startup frames of the dash itself. So if you saw here, I input the dash and I press G the second it executed, like 2 or 3 frames afterwards, and I almost didn't move at all. And this works for crouch dashes as well. And this is actually going to become very, very important later. But just keep in mind that forward movement is a little bit more safe than backward movement. Backward movement might be potentially very dangerous. Forward movement is a little bit safer, and you can like cover your bases a little bit better. You also have side steps, just like every other 2D game. You actually have 2 different kinds of side steps, which is your regular like run-of-the-mill sidestep, which is called a defensive move in Virtua Fighter 5, and then you will also have an offensive sidestep or an offensive move, and this is input simply by pressing all 3 buttons once your sidestep input starting to resolve, or you can buffer it into it, I guess. And what this does is it gives you quite a lot of forward momentum, and it also increases the amount of lateral momentum, like the amount of distance you cover itself. And usually when you execute an offensive move successfully, you get a full side turn combo, which is pretty good. So why would you use the defensive move instead? The defensive sidestep in Virtua Fighter has full invincibility to everything that is not specifically designed to track sidesteps in any direction. So again, I actually have this set up. So this is the dummy just doing like a jab into a quick mid attack. And usually in the Tekken system, this would be like a hurtbox hitbox interaction. But in the Virtua Fighter system, I can actually delay this quite a bit. There you go. Like, I can wait until the very last frame. Oops, that was bad. And still evade. And this works for every single attack in the game that is not specifically designed to catch stepping in either direction. Yeah, it's property based. Like, one of the things I like to compare it as is anti-airs in Guilty Gear versus anti-airs in like Dragon Ball FighterZ or what. So in Guilty Gear it's a pure hitbox-hurtbox interaction. So your hurtbox retracts, your hitbox expands upwards, and if the enemy hits you, that's on you, right? And it's the same in Tekken. Like, your jabs and like your linear moves have very narrow hitboxes, and depending on like frame advantage and how your character sidesteps and whatnot, you might be able to sidestep in either direction. In Virtua Fighter, it's completely property based. If I have a linear move and I choose to sidestep that move, it will always work, no matter what character. So I have two pretty beefy characters on screen right now. It doesn't matter, I can wait until the very last frame. Everything in this game, if it has properties, it will activate frame 1. So you will have frame 1 invincibility. So this works for the defensive sidestep. The offensive sidestep is more of a traditional like 3D sidestep. It doesn't really have any evasive properties, but since it moves so fast, you can actually use it to sidestep stuff if your opponent doesn't realign. So once you press a button, your opponent usually will realign their character automatically. It's just how the system works. But if I input this quickly enough, I might be able to evade the mid heal. Let's see if I can do it. So we'll block this jab and then try to offensive move. There we go. And this works, but if I input the offensive move too fast, the game registers me pressing a button and I will get hit like that. See? There you go. But if I input this correctly, I can actually get a side turn combo and get like 1,000,000 damage, and it's pretty good. So you have two different kinds of movement in this game, of lateral movement in this game. The one is very non-committal, and you can usually evade quite a lot of stuff with it. The other one is more committal. You don't have as much invincibility on it, but you cover like a huge distance. You dash forwards. It's like having a forward dash and a sidestep in one. It's pretty good. And like you usually get side turn combo. And we'll get into what side turn is in a minute, but like it's pretty good. Like it's definitely a position you want to be in. Is this Hunt's? No. I played Go for like a month and then I dropped him because I wanted to play Wolf. Alright. That's movement. I think the last thing we can discuss in movement is Yukemi, which is kind of movement, I guess. Oops. So once you hit the floor, Yukemi is not automatic in this game. You actually need to time it, and it works by pressing all 3 buttons. And you definitely should get into the habit of like mashing Yukemi once you hit the floor. There's those two characters in particular on screen have brutal ground throws. You definitely want to get up as soon as possible. I haven't talked about failed evades yet. I think we'll talk about them in like the more generic stuff. So if I don't mash here, I get the full get up, and I'm, like in Tekken, completely vulnerable to like OTG or ground throws or what have you. So this is not something you want. Get into the habit of doing Yukemi pretty much all the time once you get launched. Alright. Get this back to detailed stats. Usually there isn't, like not in the early stages of the game. You should Yukemi pretty much all the time, because like there is the equivalent to like black beat combos in this game, and they hurt quite a lot. Like let me. So this ground throw, for instance, you can see the combo counter turning green. That means it's not a real combo, but it's like 20 damage on top, and this is something you definitely want to avoid. We'll get into questions later. I want to keep this pretty concise. Alright, so this is a 3-button fighting game. So you have punch, kick, and then guard. Let me get the one to guard here. There are actually combinations of all of those 3 buttons. So we talk about how this is more like a 6-button fighting game than a 3-button fighting game. So you have punch, kick, guard just by their own, and then you also have punch plus kick, kick plus guard, and punch plus guard, which is also your throw macro. And then you also have like all 3 buttons, which usually goes into stances or like Yukemi or offensive move or what have you. Your punch attacks are your most important attacks usually. This is where your jab lives, like your fastest attack. This is where your mid elbow lives. This is usually where you have like nice approaching mids, like those. Some have circular moves, what have you. Like you will usually press this a lot, generally for your mid elbow, your jabs, your low jabs. All of them are on your punch button. This is pretty much half your move list. Advantage minus 62, yeah, we're playing Virtua Fighter, man. Moving on to your kicks. Your kicks are pretty much general purpose, like mid-rangey tools. They're still pretty fast, just 16 frame startup, 17 frame startup. Let's see, 16 frame startup. I think this is 14 frame startup. So they're general pretty fast. Fastest moves in this game are 11 to 12 frames. They cover quite a lot of distance, like this. And you can usually use them at like this mid-range stuff. They're pretty safe. Some of them have tracking properties. A lot of characters have counter-hit launchers on here, like this knee, which a lot of characters have as like a counter-hit launcher, a specific one, or like front kicks like this one, or like side kicks. Different classes of like mid-range pokes, kind of. And a lot of them are mid, not all of them. These are high. We'll go into properties a bit later. Then punch plus kick is our next button. This is like your big boy buttons. You can kind of equate this to a 1+2 in Tekken, or like a heavy punch in Street Fighter-esque games. Usually this is also where your general reversals live and your main neutral hit launcher. So you have a lot of moves in here that just like have a lot of damage. Usually they have knockdown properties. If your character has a lot of reversals, they will usually be on P plus K. Jeff doesn't have a reversal because he sucks, but like generally this is like your big damage button. This is what you want to press once you get into Nitaku. We'll talk about what that is later. And then your last attack button, which some people refer to as heavy kick, is your K plus G, your kick plus guard. And this usually has your main circular move, which in Tekken terms, that would be like a homing forward 4 or like a back 4 or something. Like a huge circular move that just covers all side steps. There's also like power lows in here, weird kind of mid launchers, stuff like that. Like all of what is generally like a heavy kick thing, but they are more freeform here. And then lastly we have P plus K plus guard, which is your stance move. And usually when a character has special stances they can get into, they are usually accessed through all 3 buttons. And then also, of course, throws. We'll talk about throws later. So, how do you actually play this game then? We have all of these different moves. Your character has like a bunch of different attacks. We can go into like the command list and scroll down, and that's the character with the least moves, and then he has also threat stance and jump attacks and like bunch of throws here, right? So how do you actually play this game? So, like I said before, jabs are your bread and butter, and elbows are your bread and butter in general. So this is a general rule in this game. Not every character adheres by it, but most people do. In general, your offense is centered around a strike-throw mix-up. So in Tekken, you would have highs, mids, and lows, and your main mix-up of your character would generally be between lows and power mids, which then go into launchers or like counter hit stuff and stuff like that. In Virtua Fighter, the main mix-up your character usually wants to do is strike-throw, and for that reason, there are quite few actual power mids in this game. Like, I think this is one of the best that Jeffrey has, and then of course also your elbow. Lows are generally pretty bad. Like, this is your general all-purpose low that all characters have. It's -6 on hit. If it hits as counter hit, I think it becomes like neutral. It's pretty abysmal. Yeah, it's like neutral on counter hit, -6 on normal hit. You have slower lows like this one, which is actually plus on hit, which is rare. But it's 26 frame startup. It's super reactable. So your lows are generally not as good as you would have in Tekken, and your mids are kind of eh. Like, this is a pretty good mid. This is, I guess, a good mid. This is situational at best. But generally, all your best moves, your most safe moves will be highs, and this incentivizes the enemy to just duck in your face all the time. Also because throws are pretty powerful. This is not even a good throw character, and he does like 65 damage. I guess he's like above average. 60 damage. Also, throws can't be broken on reaction in this game. You have to guess. It is a true guessing game. Like, this is the animation for a forward throw. This is the animation for a back throw. They are indistinguishable. There is no visual indicator to look at how you would want to break throws in this game. So throws are really powerful. Lows are not that good. Mids are okay, usually. Strings will be pretty minus, even on hit. So this is your PP string, or like a PK string, which is -4, which is pretty good. But usually strings will be minus on block, even more minus on... would usually be minus on block and also minus on hit. And they have pretty long cancel windows though. So this one has a pretty decently long cancel window, and it ends in a mid, which is punishable on block then. And what you want to do is condition your opponent to A, respect your strings, because a lot of them will just be highs, and then also not press into them when you don't follow up on them. This gives you mental frame advantage, and this is what you want. Also, 5P. This button is really good. It's +2 on block, which is very rare. It's the fastest move your character generally has. Most characters have it at 12 frame startup. Some characters will have an 11 frame jab, which gives them an edge. It is very, very good at just locking down your opponent, and it will make your elbows actually uninterruptible by the opponent, because in this game, the higher damage a move has, the more if two moves hit on the same frame, the higher damage move will win. So this one does more damage than a jab. So if both hit on the same frame, I can actually show this. So this will this means the enemy will block my attack and then try and press a P. And I will counter hit them. Like that. So jabs make your offense pretty much uninterruptible. And this is important because your elbows are your fastest mids at 14 frames. Like I said, if you make the opponent block a jab, they will become uninterruptible. And they keep your opponent honest. They keep your opponent standing up. Because the important thing about elbows is they are not that great on hit. Like -1. Sometimes they're neutral on hit, sometimes they're like slightly minus on hit. Like a lot of mids in this game, there are a few that are plus on hit, but like a lot of them are just simply minus on hit. But if your opponent is crouching, they will become plus on hit. So this is a great way for you to get the opponent to stand up, to be honest. And try and like respect your strings a little bit more, like respect your other moves a little bit more. And between those two buttons, a lot of your opponent's possibility space will shrink down because they can't really press buttons anymore. They can try and sidestep, but like none of that is really what they want. Also, if you have your opponent at that point where he won't press buttons anymore, you can throw them. Throws are also a great way to catch stepping, because they usually don't care whether or not a person is stepping, except in like fringe circumstances. And they do, like I said, a lot of damage. So if your opponent is just like standing here and trying to do like this to you, and they won't attack you anymore, just throw them. And take like quarter of their health. So this is sort of just between those three buttons. This is the core of offense in Virtua Fighter. You have a very, very good jab. You have a pretty okay mid, which acts to keep your opponent honest. And you have throws, which do a lot of damage and which your opponent will want to avoid at all costs. Let me just show you how much damage throws can do in this game. Whoops. There you go. Oh, right. So this would do about 100 damage, so 40% of my life. Didn't notice there was only one health bar over there. But usually, like, throws are in the range of 40 damage on the low end to 100 damage on the high end. Taka has one that is like 80 damage, which is sort of the cutoff point where people go, oh my god, this does too much damage. And so, like, a lot of those buttons are designed around the threat of throws. You really don't want your opponent to just stand there and block everything, because they might get thrown. Like that, that would do like 85 damage. But you also don't want to have your opponent just mash on everything. So if you play very compact, like Virtua Fighter style, you would do like jab and you would do like elbows and try and like get a feel for how your opponent reacts until one of you will get a counter hit. And counter hit jabs and counter hit elbows, for that matter, are very, very plus on hit. Let me show you. So this is +8 on hit, and this is +5 on hit. Let me see if, oops, I can get this on a crouching opponent. This will also be +5 on hit, but like counter hit jabs or counter hit dick jabs will be what you are mainly looking for. This is +7 on hit. And once you reach that threshold of +6 or more, your opponent is put into a true 50-50 state. And that is what we call Nitaku. Well, actually, let me advance this one a little bit. We talked about offense, right? I'm sorry, I didn't notice. So, like, once you hit the counter hit jab, you will be at +8. +8 is where your damage lives. Like, everything above +6 is usually like the state you want to be in. That is your reward state for playing the game well. And you can get this from a lot of places, actually. Let me see. All these two can... I like this. 15 frame mid, +7 on counter hit, 14 frame mid, counter hit jab. Like, all of these will put you around Nitaku. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. But this one will, and this one will, and this one will. So what is Nitaku? Nitaku is a true 50-50 state, just like I said. And the 50-50 your opponent has to guess between, and there is no way around this, is between a command throw attempt or a counter hit launcher. Now, why does that work? Once you are -7 or like -6 or -8, you will be unable to crouch tech OS. I will go over what this means in the next point. But your opponent won't be able to auto-evade your throws. Backdashes are counter-hit invulnerable, so your opponent can't backdash in this situation. And your opponent is standing up. So this means either your opponent guards and potentially eats a command grab, or your opponent eats this fat counter-hit launcher, and it does like 1,000,000 damage. And characters generally will have a bias as to what they want to go for. Jeff is actually pretty well balanced, like he can take either one of those options. Wolf will usually go for the command grab attempts here, or will want to go for the command grab attempts here. He has the 6k, the knee, for a pretty nice chunk of damage, but like really he wants his opponent to block. So your options as a defender, once you hit -6, are guard, and then also try and input a throw break, which works regardless of... Wolf must be pretty bad in Germany. So let me do this. Oops, that was a regular throw. So I can guard, and while I'm guarding, I can input any throw break, which are usually done with P+G and then neutral, back, or forward. These are your 3 throw breaks. And I can do that while I am holding the guard button. So I don't really need to commit to a throw break here. I can just buffer it like this. In this example, I have the opponent set up to do a giant swing, which is a forward throw break, and just like you said, saw here, I'm holding P+G, and I will auto throw break all of his throw attempts. If I input the wrong throw break, let me just input the back throw break here. Nothing will come out. So even if you're guarding, you still have a 33% chance of guessing the correct throw break. And generally, most characters will have their best throws on a forward break. So Wolf will have his giant swing, his burning hammer. Some of his wall throws will be forward breaks. He still has pretty terrifying throws, but like if you have to guess a throw break, you usually want to break forward because that's where the damage lives. But that is only one of your options if you are in Nitaku. The other option is to press a button. Let me show this with the same command we just used. All buttons in Virtua Fighter are frame 1 throw invincible. Every single one of them. I can use my slowest button. Let me just use this. Like, that's so slow. And it still beats out the throw. And actually what you can do here, oops, is because all of your buttons are throw invincible, you can actually punish with a launcher. So if I know my opponent is pressing something, oops, I can just simply punish his attempt of throwing me with a big launcher. Actually, I don't even have to consider my my startup or anything. I can just press the biggest launcher my character has. I can make this count and take like 80 damage off of him. But of course, this is only one side of the coin, because if my opponent is committing to a slow launcher, or just like any button in general, because still he is -6 at this point, I can punish his attempt of mashing out with a counter hit launcher. And usually every character has at least one of those. This is set counter hit, very nice. Let me put this one back to detailed stats. This is the $3.99 frame data DLC. And usually every character has at least one of those launchers. They are usually safe on hit, safe on block. They are pretty good on hit, but really what you want to do with them is counter hit people. So for Jeff is 3P plus K. This one. And you can take like 60 damage off of them, which is pretty comparable with like his front throw, which does 65, or his back throw, which does 60. So Jeff really doesn't care whether or not you are inputting a throw break or you're trying to guard him. This is still like safe on block. It puts you in Nitaku, but it's still like safe on block. If I do this right. So even if this is guarded, I'm -7 here. -8. Like this puts me in Nitaku on block, but it's still safe. And usually what people want to go for is those counter hit launchers. Except if I'm playing Wolf, of course. And I can do this and still be safe. Which is a lot better than just getting a big fat launcher in the face and eating 1,000,000 damage. So, this works at frame advantages between -6 and -10. -10 is the point where things become throw punishable, so you have to input the throw break there. But like the -6 to -9 area of your frame advantage will be the Nitaku zone, and this is where your damage lives. So with everything set then, why is it only that if this is -2 and my opponent still can't backdash, still will be countered by the back out of the backdash by a jab, he still can't like challenge with a lot of stuff because I can just do the elbow here. Why is it that only on -6 to -9 this becomes a true mix-up? And why not on, let's say, this on block? This is -5. I shouldn't have all these options. Oh, mouse cursor, I'm sorry. There you go. So I shouldn't really have an option to get out of pressure here. And this is one of the core defensive principles of Virtua Fighter. And this is fuzzy guard drawers. If you are only going to take away one thing with you from this stream, it should be this one. So you can input a crouch dash and immediately block. And the game will treat you in a crouching state after the first 5 frames of the crouch dash have resolved, and you will be in a crouching state, which means that highs will whiff on you and throws will whiff on you. But you will still be able to high block all mids that come in your way. Let me just show you this with a real example. So luckily we actually have a setting for this, which is counter attack 3. So Wolf will attack me with a 14 frame mid here. Like that. If I am -5 like this, and I input my crouch tag, not my crouch tag, my fuzzy guard correctly, I will still be able to block his mid, like this. This is the fastest mid a mid can be in this game. There is no mid that's faster than 14 frames. This is very important. Okay, so this works. Like, the way I input this is, let me just put it in my command display here. I put in the crouch dash, and then once I visually confirm my character is moving, and this will get easier with experience because you know the timing, I let go of my stick and press the guard button, like this. Hey Gil. So this will work, and this will usually block, if you put it in correctly, this will block all mids in the game, even at -5. So what about throws then? Same situation, we have a button that's -5 on hit, -5 on block, I'm sorry. Let me put the opponent into a state where he will counter attack throw me. What will happen? Oops. The throw will whiff. Just like that. If you input it quickly, if I input the guard too early, my crouch dash will actually be cancelled and I will still remain in a standing state. Let me show you what this looks like. Oops, that was bad. See, I input the guard too early. I was not in a crouch state yet, so I was still considered to be standing up, and Wolf was able to throw me. Like that. This is so important to the core of how Virtua Fighter plays that if you're only learning one thing, it should be this one. And you should learn it in both directions, of course. Somewhat similarly to crouch, like Fuzzy Guard OS. I keep saying crouch tech, I'm sorry. It's not a crouch tech, it's just a Fuzzy Guard. Similar to Fuzzy Guard, you can 2P. 2P is your generic dick jab, or duck jab, I guess. They behave very, very similarly to how duck jabs function in Tekken. They are very quick, also 12 frames. Let me put the CPU to block here, like this. They are slightly minus on block, but it's not that bad. They are plus on hit, and they are also +7 on counter hit, usually. So in the same situation, where I could Fuzzy Guard to evade both the mid and the low, the mid and the throw, I could dick jab to not evade the mid would still win, but I would get a fat counter hit, or like recovery counter hit, on the throw attempt. Let me show you what this looks like. Oh, that's a mid attack, sorry. I want a throw here. See the blue counter hit? That means I punish the recovery here. So for some reason this game just punishes recovery counter hits. It's not that interesting, but this is a very potent move to just mash out of pressure, because once you do that, you are still at +4. Your opponent will usually respect your turn here, so you can press a mid or like do whatever. Still very powerful. Also, this isn't limited to Nitaku situations. In Nitaku, you usually want to go for your big launches, but like let's say this is -6. So I was -6 here, and the opponent still couldn't grab me because I was actually crouching under them. Like with most things in this game, once invincibility hits and all dick jabs are high invincible, like they high crush by default, and this will actually hit on frame 1. So I will be in a high crushing state on frame 1 once I input the dick jab. Let's see that again. So I'm -6 here. Shouldn't be able to fuzzy guard, and let me actually fuzzy guard to show you this doesn't work. So I try to fuzzy here. Doesn't work. This one works, but this one doesn't. But if I input a dick jab here, it will win out. It will actually duck under the throw on frame 1 of its animation and then keep a low profile until the attack resolves. So this is extremely important, because in some cases you want to just check your opponent with something you know that will work, and dick jab is just really good for that. Like that. And then also, of course, we talked about it, movement is really good. You can also just 6k, yeah. If you're making a bet on a throw, you can make a big bet and just, like, you call this reverse Nitaku, where you just go, alright, let me just straight up murder you for trying to throw me. Look at this is 44 frames of execution, it's still 1 out. Like, you can do a lot of damage if you read the opponent right. And like you said, you saw here there was a blue flame again. This means that was a true punish. The opponent wasn't able to block in this situation. So your defensive options in the game are fuzzy guard, to sum it up, for everything up to -5, dick jab, and just simply mashing out of pressure if you expect the throw. And then also you can, of course, let me go back for a mid here. Whoops. You can just simply sidestep a lot of moves, and the opponent has to react with a half circular, which covers one of your sidestep directions, but is usually a little bit faster. Or a full circular, which is much slower but covers both directions, and it can be OS'd. I don't think we'll go into the circular, like, fail guard OS just yet. Maybe later. So these are your general options for defense in Virtua Fighter. Learn fuzzy guard. Preferably on something that is -5. You can do this, which is -3, and generally you could, on -3 moves, just simply duck and manually time the getup. But I feel like that's pretty difficult. I'd much rather just buffer the crouch dash and then press G. It's much easier once you get the hang of it. Like you could, in theory, just do this at -3, but buffering crouch dash, once you get the hang of it, it comes so naturally. It's much easier than doing anything else. So I would suggest you really learn that. Alright, did I miss anything? We got throws, we got side steps, 2P. Oh yeah, reversals. Almost every character in the game has at least one reversal or a sabaki move. Jeff doesn't because he sucks. But most characters in the game will have a way of reversaling specific types of attacks. So let's go to Wolf again. Wolf has a really cool move called the Raw. This thing. And it will pretty much reversal all elbows, all jabs, a lot of stuff it really shouldn't. So let me try and attack here with an elbow, and you saw... Whoops, that was a throw. And it will attack. But if I attack with a kick or something, if I do a front kick here, that will actually beat the parry stance. So you need to have a little bit of matchup knowledge to know what you can actually do in these situations. And what your opponent wants to go for. But usually a lot of characters will have specific reversals or like specific sabaki attacks. For like your generic stuff, your jabs, your elbows, your dick jabs. Actually, let me show you another one. This one. This actually gets beaten by most jabs, but is specific in, whoops, in that it will specifically counter dick jabs. And that's really good for Wolf, because people really like dick jabbing him. There you go. Yeah, it only works on some moves that don't knock down. Like, it's weird. Like, a lot of characters have these like really archaic roots and rules about what they will parry and what doesn't. It kind of reminds me, if you played Street Fighter 5, Zangief has a specific parry that only works on front-facing kicks. And Virtua Fighter is kind of like that. There are certain flags on moves that specific parries will or will not activate on. So for instance, like the Raw has the rule that everything the Raw parries must not cause a knockdown. Otherwise, like, Jeff has a lot of stuff that just causes knockdowns. So he will be pretty good against the Raw. I think if I do the knee, it might. Let's try it. Do this. No, knees are still fair game. So in this specific matchup, this would be a bad parry, because a lot of what Jeffrey wants to do, except from like jab and elbow and stuff, Wolf has a hard time countering. So this is a matchup knowledge thing. Parries are generally really good in this game, much more than they are for games like Tekken, where they are situational sometimes, and then like Jin has a really good one. But in this game, learning how to use your parries and what your parries are actually good for and how they are used is very strong. And I would advise you that once you kind of learn the general defense of this game, things become a lot clearer as to how you should use your sabaki attacks on your parries and whatnot. And then also, always use movement. This is still a 3D game. Use an offensive move, use a defensive move. Like, this is still a 3D game. There's a lot of screen positioning, there's a lot of like trying to figure your opponent out. You can usually like do this, get into it. You can actually cancel crouch dashes into each other just by like buffering Shoryuken motions. Like this. And you can just repeatedly crouch dash into the opponent, and once they bite, just guard. It's fine. Alright, so the sidestep becomes an evade if they had an attack in starter when you input the sidestep. Yes, we actually talked about this before. You have to input the sidestep once your opponent has already committed to a move. If you don't, then your opponent will realign. Let me quickly show you if I can set this up correctly. So I'm +2 here. If I sidestep as soon as possible, I will input the sidestep before my opponent has the chance to press a button. And in that case, the sidestep, the attack, the jab will realign and will actually hit me like this. If I wait a little bit, I will sidestep, no problem. There you go. Yeah, it's pretty important to know. I don't know if I just touched on it briefly, but like you really just want to sidestep once you're minus. If you're plus, shouldn't really happen. Like you wait for a little bit, but at that point you're just giving up your frame advantage. Alright, let's move on to a little bit of more generic stuff in this game. Let's see. Guard cancelling. So I touched on a little bit about how a lot of characters in this game have strings that they can use. So a lot of characters have stuff like, let me just put this to guard. And let me put this over here. So a lot of characters have PP strings, for instance, of 5 PP. And there are situations where you want to have this move come out, and then there are also situations where you just want to jab, and also there are situations where you want to jab and then go into an elbow. In this specific situation, Jeff actually has a string that is 5p, 6p. This one over here, and you see it is not -5 anymore, like an elbow would be, like this, but it's -6 because it's a part of a string here. Has a different animation. So how can you ensure that your character doesn't do the string when you don't want them to? And the answer to that is you can cancel your input buffer, or you can like flush kind of your input buffer by pressing G. If I go back here and put in my command display, if I do this, the mid will always come out. Like the body blow will always come out. But if I input G, even just for a frame, my input buffer will be flushed. The game will consider my string to be over at this point. So I can safely press my 6p and be sure that it's always going to be the 6p elbow and not this move, which is terrible. And you shouldn't use it if you have this. Like, it's not terrible, but you know, there's a reason you want to rather have this one where you can fuzzy in between rather than having this one where you cannot. Also, while you are holding down G, all your other attack buttons will be disabled, but the buffer will still remain active. So if I have a move that requires maybe a forward input, like a 6-6p, like this, I can actually buffer those into my guard here. I can do this and then let go of G and press P, and the move will come out as soon as possible without any movement. So if I just do it raw, you can see I have like a little bit of a dash start up here. If I hold this down, I will actually execute the move as soon as possible without any forward movement. And this is very important for moves that have like triple forward inputs, or like Wolf has a back forward input. Let's actually try that one. So Wolf has this lariat, which King players might be familiar with. And it goes back, forward, forward, punch. And if you do it raw, Wolf will usually kind of jerk around like that and kind of give away the move. But if I buffer it into a guard, damn, I'm terrible at this game. It will actually come out as soon as possible and without any movement. Like that. So if you have a big sequence of directional inputs before a move, it might be interesting to just buffer them into a guard. Like this. So you don't really give away what you are trying to do and you're still guarding while you're doing this, which is also really good. So that's pretty good. Next up we have special hit types. You might have seen that all dig jabs hit as EX low, which equates to a special low in like a Soul Calibur, or I think dig jabs are special mids in Tekken, but they work the same. So there are 3 EX types of moves in this game. The first one we have already seen is a dig jab like this. And you can block it standing or crouching, it doesn't matter. It counts as a low for the purposes of like jumping and stuff, like you can jump under it, but it will be you will be able to block this while standing up. The next one is an EX mid. Let me get this to neutral, like this. EX mids are a little bit weird. This is an EX mid. You might think that you can block them crouching, and you would be true, kind of. Let me actually record something again. So this is Wolf's 14 frame EX mid. And I can actually block this crouching. It will deal 0 damage to me. That much is true. So if I block this crouching, I will take 0 damage here. But the move will still hit, and even worse, I will be in a guard crush state. So if I do the follow-up here, this hits as a high. And if I crouch block this, the second hit will actually hit me and I can't block here. The first hit will still do 0 damage, but I will get forced stand and I will get a guard crush. If I block this first one standing up and then crouch for the second one, this should actually work. There we go. And I just crouch under the second one. But if I crouch block the first hit, I will get stood up and I will eat the second one. There you go. So these are EX mids. They are a little bit worse than mids, but they are still very important in your arsenal. And then last up are EX highs. Let me record this one. So a lot of moves in this game have inherent high crush, and EX highs are a way to counter that. So for instance, I have these moves which hit high, and this move which hits as EX high. I've recorded the dummy to jab me and then throw a low kick. Let's see what happens. If I hit with this, you can see that Wolf will actually crouch under me. His low invincibility, his high crush will kick in first frame. I cannot do anything about this. So no matter what high I press, I can press this one, doesn't matter, I can press a jab, doesn't matter. I can press a mid, of course. But if I press an EX high at this point, too slow. There you go. The EX high will actually beat the high crush. So this is an important thing to consider. If your opponent keeps like dick jabbing you or like doing really weird evasive stances, like doing lows that have like a lot of downward movement or stuff like that. So this is actually a move that is designed to specifically beat high crush in this situation. Like that. So we have EX lows, which can be blocked standing or crouching. EX mids, which shouldn't be blocked crouching. They put you in force stand and guard crush. And EX highs, which are designed to beat high crushing moves. So these are your types of special attacks. There are also types of special throws, which are called catch throws. This is a catch throw, for instance. Shining Wizard. Whoops. There you go. For all intents and purposes, these work as slow cinematic unblockables. They don't really behave in the way that a throw would. You can actually... Whoops. Can counter hit them sometimes. Let me try if we can get like this. I input a button here, very slow one. You can see the startup, but the throw actually won. So they don't really act as throws in the system of the game, rather they work as like slow unblockables. You can counter hit them and they will display a counter hit message, but they don't really act as throws, they just are like unblockables. And just like throws, you can crouch them. Like that. So these are important. There are some characters who have really good catch throws, like Wolf for instance. They have pretty good catch throws, but generally these will be slow and sometimes kind of gimmicky, but they are still very good to have in your arsenal. A lot of catch throws go into special holds or stances. Like Go's catch throw, for instance, goes into a 4-way mix-up where you have to guess. So it's important to know like the difference between a catch throw and a normal throw. We briefly touched on side turned. So side turned is a special state in this game where you get, depending on how big of an opening your attack had, you will get additional frame advantage. So this one will go from +5 to +7 on hit. It's a very weak attack, so it only gets 2 frames of advantage. This one, front turned, it's +3. Side turned, it actually becomes +6, so it's more powerful here. This is a launcher, this is a launcher, everything that Jeffrey has is a launcher. Yeah, they can't be that broken. Catch throws are something you use when you really want the damage and when you know your opponent won't challenge you. But like, for instance, Go has a parry move that goes into a catch throw, which he really likes to do. We can talk about that in a second. But like, this one will have additional frame advantage. And actually, a lot of characters will have strings that are specifically designed to only counter, to only completely work on side-turned enemies. So 5 PPP strings will not act as a true combo here. You can see my combo dropped out in the middle. If I'm side-turned, this will actually be a true combo and you will get the full like 40 damage. Yes, also some moves act as a launcher just because they have like a huge amount of frame advantage when they get side turned. Where they don't launch. Oh, this off axis, you mean? Yep. But like, a lot of characters get like 5 PPP strings for a knockdown, and then you can like do something weird like this if the opponent doesn't do Kemi. But it's not that big of a deal. So side turn is really good, that's why you OM in this game. This is a very easy way to get into side turned for a lot of characters. Get a launcher, get a string, get just something that usually doesn't work, but with the added frame advantage, with the off-axis juggles, you can usually get something pretty nice here. Last up, we kind of have to talk about stagger. Stagger is kind of weird in this game. So you can see this threat stance P plus K puts the opponent into a stagger on block and on hit. Then we put the opponent to block here. And this will act like a forced counter hit state for as long as the opponent hasn't mashed out here. So I can actually do my 3 P plus K counter hit launcher here. And if the opponent doesn't mash in time, I will get the full combo. I will get the full counter hit launch from here. So this is super, super dangerous. There are some characters who get a stagger state as a reward for hitting with specific moves. So for instance, Wolf gets it as a reward from his low. Let me record this quickly. So this low on standing opponent will do 0 damage, but it will put them in a stagger state. And actually, oops. This will go into a full combo if the opponent isn't quick. Let me get a nice one here. There you go. So how do you mash out of stagger? You may have noticed that the joystick, that is the stagger notification, has a phase where it's green and then a phase where it's red. The green is just there to tell you, hey, you are in stagger state. And only when the joystick turns red will it accept your mash inputs. So you have like half a second or something of leeway before the game actually requires you to mash out of it. So it's not as bad as you might think. Let me wait like a second here before I actually start mashing. So I only started mashing once the stick turned red, and it was still enough to circumvent the launch here. Still. And also something I'm doing is while I am mashing buttons and mashing my stick, I am holding down G. So the first frame after my stagger ends, I will be automatically blocking. Let me show you this in command display. Yeah, it works kind of as a mind game. It works kind of like, is your opponent actively participating in the game? You can't get thrown in staggerable. Yeah, there you go. But you will be able to get counter hit launched here. So if I don't do anything, I will get the counter hit launch here. If he mashes out of stagger, you can throw. Yeah, that would be like the next level, right? You can do. Let me record here to do this, and then whoops, that was a little bit. Damn it. Yes. Like this. So if I'm not mashing. Oh, that was still too slow. I think that was it. Yeah, Go can do this. Like, Go has really disgusting throw mix-ups. Let me see if I don't mash here. I think that is just a little bit too slow. Yeah, but you saw here, right? And if I mash, I should get thrown. And there you go. I mash out of the stagger and I got thrown. Yeah, he is a Judo Master. He has naturally a lot of really, really good throws. We can go a little bit over Go later because Go has like some strop killer moves. Like his 4 PKG stance into a catch throw. Judo Assassin, yeah. Alright. So this is, I think, basically everything I want to touch on right now. There's still like a little bit of stuff I haven't touched on, like you can actually OS these moves. Let me show you. You can actually damn it. There you go. Like, it's actually possible to block in time here if you input an OS. I don't think it's that necessary for low-level play. Also, something I haven't touched on is foot stances in this game. So there are closed stances, which is what we are in right now, where our legs will kind of be like in this shape. And then there's also open stance, where our legs will be in this shape. And certain combos and like certain stuff only works in a specific stance, but I don't think you will need it at the beginning of your journey. Wolf 6 XP plus G is a catch throw. Oh yeah, that's why it works, right. 6 XP plus G is a catch throw. There you are. And then the normal throw would whiff, and the if I mashed out of it, it actually didn't. Okay. I think that's just about it from my primer. We took like a little bit more than an hour. But if you want to, we can have, if you guys want, we can have a little bit of a question round, if you still have any questions left. And then we'll go over each of them one by one. Actually, let me go to, like, Go for a second. Yeah, the tutorial in Final Showdown is pretty good, actually. So it actually does teach you about fuzzy guard OS, and it also teaches you about like failed guard on a circular move. This is Go. This is the character everyone was talking about once we talked about throws. He has a parry move, this one, and he can go into a 4-way mix-up here. And it's like super fucked up. Because this thing parries attacks, and if you don't do anything, you get put into this disgusting 4-way mix-up, and it's like super bad, and nobody likes him. So one thing you can do here is, well, let me actually switch the characters around. There you go. Normal, nice Japanese neighbor. Like, you can't... Whoops. suppose that. That was weird. There you go. So this stance is a problem. And Go players will use it a lot because it will magically just... Should get a jab in here first. There you go. Should help with timing. Do you use only 3 buttons or do you use extra buttons for combinations? I use extra buttons. So the input buffer is pretty lenient in this game, you don't really need it. But the way I play is I have extra button combinations for P plus K, for K plus G and for P plus G. And then I also have G just on a button and P plus K right over it, so I can just mash those 2 buttons to get my all 3 buttons combination and like dual Kemi and stuff like that. Some OG players just use the 3 buttons and it's like fine, you don't really need the extra buttons, but it's just like a nice quality of life thing. Doesn't parry elbow. Oh, there you go. Doesn't parry EX low either. What does it parry? Am I just really bad at this video game? I think I'm just too... This is one of the things I didn't check before I did the video. Mids, highs, limbs only, so it should parry front kicks, right? Like this one. Never mind, this move is trash. Nobody uses it. Limbs only. Just jab. Damn! How did I get hit by this all the time? See, this is what happens when you don't check your stuff before you do a video. It should parry actually. Oh. Weird thing. Doesn't matter, you will get hit by this online and you will curse stuff. It should parry all of these. I'm pretty sure it still also parries elbows. I don't know why it doesn't. Nobody uses this parry yet. Like, that's all that Go players use. Go also has like one of the craziest counter hit launchers in the game. His throw reversal, yeah, it's also 1 frame. Throw reversal is like really dumb. Let me see if I can actually get it. Or I can do, what's it called, like perfect giant swing. Let's try and reversal a throw here. This is a 1 frame window, I think. Jeffrey isn't trash after all? I don't know, man. I don't think any character is trash in general in this game. Like, there are varying degrees of good to very good. And Jeffrey just happens to be on the side of the equation that says he is just okay. Like same with Eileen, right? Eileen is a decent character, but there's also like characters like Jackie, like Taka, like I guess Shundi. Shundi's pretty mid. I joined midstream. Did you cover recovery from falls? Yes, I did. You press all 3 buttons. This game is all about the game mechanic and less about the characters. Yeah, there you are. Like every character has a jab, an elbow, some throws, a dig jab, and then it's like how well can you play this matchup? How well can you anticipate your opponent? How well can you like play Virtua Fighter? Like this is a very read intensive game. If I don't know when you are going to throw me, I can never reverse Nitaku and take like 90 damage from you. Let me see if I can actually. I forgot the combo here. What was it? Like this, and then this. I feel like I got more out of this. He did like stupid amounts of damage from counter hit 6k. Alright, let's try the infamous throw reversal. Put it a little bit too fast. The punch comes out, it's too fast. I think I almost had it. Wait, I think it's like, isn't it like back and something? No, it's just like P plus K plus G, right? If you have any questions, just ask them in chat. I'll try to answer as best as I can. A little bit too fast. Oh, that might be a good idea. What's minus 10 on Go? Let me see, is this minus 10? No, this is way worse. Minus 6, minus 15, minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, minus 13, minus 15. 4k? Oh yeah, there you go, minus 10. There you go. So we'll have the opponent mash out with a throw. Oh yeah, this is like this. He has this weird circular EX low, right? There you are. It's super tight. Like, I will be popping off if somebody does this in tournament. There you are. And you got like a 4-way mix-up, and it's super good. Oh yeah, this is also just minus 10. What else? This whack-ass low. I think we're gonna do like 10 more minutes where you can ask questions if you want to. and I think we're gonna end the stream. Who's top tier? Difficult to say. I'm kinda leaning towards Jackie. But only because like he's kinda good at everything he does. But people have been talking about Akira at top 1, and I think Taka was very good at the beginning of the game, but people actually figured out how to fight him. Yeah, Jackie, drunk Shun is pretty good, right? So Shun with 25 drinks or more becomes top tier. Taka's weird. I don't think we've talked about weight classes yet. Let me actually go talk about weight classes for a little bit, right? So, there are weight classes in this game. Every character has 240 HP, and the only thing that matters for how much damage you take is how high you get actually launched when your opponent launches you. For instance, Pi is a lightweight character, Aileen is a very, very lightweight character, and then there's a lot of characters who have like regular weight, and then there's Jeffrey. I think John is also above average. Wolf is pretty thick, right? I think that's it. Blaze is very lightweight. And then there's Taka. Let me actually show you what Taka does. So in normal circumstances, you would get a full launch from Jeffrey's... forward. From this one. This is primary neutral hit launcher, 6P plus K. In Taka's case, let me just go for neutral here. He just falls over. That's it. You can't follow up with anything. Like you can do this, or you can, I think you can do ground throw here. Oh no, it's actually green combo. Like you can do that, I guess, but a lot of characters will have trouble really launching him. For instance, my regular combo from 6K knee will be a dick jab, this one, and then I will tackle. Right? So if I try and do this on Taka, he will just belly flop to the ground and that will be it. I cannot follow up here. And actually, even worse than that, that dick jab was the last thing I got. The next one will be a green combo, so it won't be valid, and Taka would have actually been able to Okami here. Yeah, throwing Taka is always like really cool. I think Aoi has like really interesting reversal animations just for Taka because he's so fat. With Kage. Izuna drop. Let's try that actually. That's a special animation, right? What was the input again? Pi's forward throw and... What is the input for Izuna drop again? It's like back forward? Oh, half circle back, there you go. Yeah, that's all you get. I think Pi has a few really good ones as well. Let's try Pi. So, Taka is weird. He takes like... He has just different combo routes than any other character in the game. They don't even necessarily do less damage, they just work completely differently because he's so fat. Like with Wolf, I can get just ground throws on him for no reason and they will be guaranteed in some combos. Let's see, ooh, texture load in. Hello. That's also a good one. There you go. Pi also a good character I would recommend beginners try. Like she has very straightforward gameplay and she also has an 11 frame jab and people usually don't optimize their combos at lower levels. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get like this really fast character who does surprisingly decent damage. How can I sidestep here? No. Would you recommend Brad for beginners? I would recommend, honestly, any character for beginners. Brad is pretty good. Like, he has a lot of good stuff. He has good strings. He has good frame data on his normals. Brad is also fine, yeah. He plays a lot like... I don't want to say he plays a lot like Steve, but like his playstyle is very reminiscent of like boxer types. Yeah, he reminds me of Steve from Tekken a lot. Yeah, he is kind of like Steve. Not super one-to-one comparison like, but he is decently good. Generally, every character in Virtua Fighter plays the same. Like, you have jabs, you have elbows, which are 14 frames, you have throws, which do 1,000,000 damage for no reason, you have dick jabs. Let me actually turn off the counter hit here. Getting distracting. Like, every character has these. Every character has a 14 frame mid poke, every character has a dick jab, every character has a jab, every character has throws. The way in which you get your damage will be different from character to character. So for instance, like, Pai-chan doesn't really have a lot of damaging throws. I think her throws kind of top out at 50-55 points. This is 40, what is a neutral throw? 40. This is 20 and some frame advantage. Like, her throws don't deal as much damage, but like she has a lot of really good strings and she can play the system just like any other character. Same with Shun. Yeah, 16 frame sidekick, that staggers. Well, Pi has a 12 frame mid as well. What's a 12 frame mid? Like, every character can play the system. And then once you know the system, 3P plus K. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's also plus on it. Damn. You don't really get anything, like, just pushes you away. How bad is it on block? Let me try. -6 and you get pushed out? This move is super good. What the hell? Can I get even thrown in this? I can't even be thrown in this range. Why is this move so good? Damn. Okay, but like every character can play the system. Even Shun, if you completely ignore his strings, which will objectively make him a worse character, he can still play the system, right? Chun-Li stops and yeah, for real, man. Even pushes you out of throw range. That's super fucked up. Even Shun, even like characters... Who's like a really technical character? Shun, Lei Fei, I guess, Lao-chan kind of. Kage is pretty straightforward still. You can play anything. Yeah, you can also play on any device you feel comfortable with. Like, there is really no wrong pick. If you think Pai-chan looks cute, then play Pai-chan. If you think Lao-chan looks cute, then by all means, do your thing, right? I play... Let me actually show you why I play Wolf. Aileen is also pretty straightforward. Like, she has cancel routes, but she can still play the system, right? Aileen is a good girl? I don't know, man. I don't know. Did I play a... Oh, fuck, I didn't play a fenced stage. this one. Monkey style is great time to ape. Yeah, Aileen is like super rushdown heavy. She just sticks to you. She has unique cancel options. Oops, wrong throw. What's this wall throw again? Is it just... Oh, it's just forward throw. Like, this is the reason I play this character. I just love the throw animation. Whoops, that's a side turn throw. And then also, like, doing 100 damage from a throw for no apparent reason. And doing, like, 75 on a back throw for no reason. Ugh, Ric Flair chops. I just love this character style, man. Whoops. Like, this is the reason I play this character. Straight up. I don't think you need to pick a strong beginner character. Like, even characters like Akira, right? Akira seems pretty daunting. He has like the one frame knee and stuff. He doesn't have a lot of strings, but still, he can play the same system that everyone else can. He can jab, he can dick jab, he can elbow. Like, this is like his elbow, 14 frame mid. He can still throw just like any other character in the game. If you correctly sidestep a move, you will get invul against this move. Yeah, there's no like hitbox, hurtbox interactions. We went through this at the very beginning, but I can still show this. Oops. Actually, let me just do this. Oops. Oh wait, I'm at advantage here. Oh god damn it. This is bad. There you go. So I'm doing a plus on block jab and then I am doing an elbow here. And I can wait until the very, very last frame of animation and still do the sidestep, and there is no clipping. And I'm manually like even delaying my sidestep, and I can do it in both directions. Like this. If you can input fuzzy guard on pad, you will be fine. Like, the most important thing about this game is fuzzy guard OS. Did you already cover wall spread, crumple, ground bounce roads? I don't think this will be necessary for new players. Like, this is the one thing you need. If you can do this on pad, which is just like down forward, wait a bit, press G, you will be fine. This is like the one thing you need to know. And then everything else will come with experience. Like, for instance, this is a frame perfect input. Let me try if I can do it like multiple times. Didn't get it. Didn't get it. Whoops. That was just a forward throw. There you go. States exist, yeah. But like, I don't want to overcomplicate this. Ori Fighting Edge to be in stock for a while now, yep. If you're a pad player, if you have done well so far with pads, I don't think it's necessary to learn stick just to do like perfect giant swings and stuff. Ah, there you go. Like, special combo states exist in all 3D fighting games, and I am off. The game was meant to be played like stick is the original thing. It's a fun thing to hold. Yeah, I play stick because it's fun to hold in my hands as well. I tried hitbox once and it was okay. Like this, right? clash system. I think we touched on the clash system a bit ago, but it's still important if you want to know why like 14 frame mids beat 12 frame highs at +2. I think we touched on that briefly before. Show some combos. I guess I can, but... Ugh. Oops. The ground throw isn't true here, but a lot of stuff like that, right? Combos are generally pretty short. You don't have like huge launches like you have in Tekken, but you can still get a little bit of swag on there. Let me see. The thing you need to get started is like a neutral hit launcher combo like this one. So this is just like your standard neutral hit launcher combo, and then try to think of a counter hit starter from your your main counter hit launcher, like this one. Hey, why doesn't the body check work? God damn it. Right, and then I think that's just about everything I know. What did I miss? Xbox players gonna have to stick with Final Showdown. Yeah, for now. There might be like an Xbox port or a Steam port in the future. I will definitely try and organize tournaments once this game hits on PC. I don't have a capture card at home, so I can't like stream or organize tournaments on PS4, but once we get a PC version, I will be happy to organize community tournaments for EU. Yeah, and like the Virtua Fighter community is small but dedicated. If it comes to Steam, I'll just sell it. So I guess this is basically all I want to talk about in this stream. If you have any questions, you can send me a message on Twitter. But yeah, I think that's just about it. We'll keep it at that. Thank you so much for tuning in. And subscribe to BCU. We have some really cool events planned for you guys. And other than that, have a great day.